Well, Sean, thank you. Yeah, even though this attack happened probably close to 24 hours ago now, there's still a lot of different breaking details. So it's great that we have our international relations expert, Yvonne Davis, back. One thing we haven't mentioned, Yvonne, that you wanted to talk about, the State Department has now reacted and issued a warning.
In relation to the live segment that just played, the State Department issued a warning for all American citizens within the Westminster area in London to just check home with their family members, let everybody know they're safe.
Yeah.
They didn't issue any travel bans or travel warnings per se, but they just want people to be mindful and more vigilant.
I believe Facebook is also activated.
Oh, they have activated it. Yeah, that I'm safe. Everybody's checking in. So it's important that American citizens check the State Department's travel warnings, any warnings that come from the U.S. state.gov, and look up travel warnings to see what's happening in terms of being safe. That's very, very important to do.
Now, British authorities, as we've said all morning long, have said there was only one attacker. But that being said, there have been raids and arrests overnight. Now, 8 arrests they're up to. What do you know about that?
Yeah, about 4 this morning. It was about 7. Now 8 arrests from British time. British is behind, or we're ahead of them 4 hours.
Yeah.
So at about 10:30 p.m. last night, British time, Metropolitan Police raided a restaurant upstairs, apartment complex on Hagley Road. It was a Persian restaurant called Sherzad. And so they aggressively went in and they were able to detain at least 3. And throughout that evening, from about 10:30 to 2 a.m., they were able to make about 7 to 8 arrests. 8 arrests.
Okay, as for how the attack played out, it started with an SUV plowing into a group of people. That's very common, it seems.
Well, when you look at the history, vehicle rammings, the first vehicle ramming terrorist attack was in 1981 in Iraq. We've had 24, including last night. You remember when I was on the show with you talking about the incident in Nice? It was the same type of thing. A number of from Al-Qaeda. Now ISIS, we know, is now claiming responsibility. Al-Qaeda, it's happened in Palestine. So this has been a tactic that now terrorist groups are using. The Amaq news agency reported that ISIS has claimed responsibility, and it becomes a part of their strategy and tactic to disrupt and unnerve the West, to scare them.
Yeah. Now, how about the compound there, the whole and it is more or less a compound. There were gates that the car ran into. How prepared was it for this type of attack? What are they going to do going forward?
Well, here's the thing. They weren't prepared because usually when you go into the Common Greens area to go into the Parliament, it's usually open. There are police there, but people are free to come and go.
Yes.
But remembering from 2001 when we had 9/11, the White House changed. We put up those ugly barricades, remember? I mean, I remember after when I was always in and out of going to visit the White House and doing various things in the White House, they didn't have that. And then after that, it just blocks up everything. So there will be more security. I know there were some complaints that this particular gate was unlocked. But from what I understand, talking with the former employee who works for a member of Parliament, she said it's always open. But now we know it'll be closed for sure.
Okay, well, that's not
because they're saying if it was locked, it probably would have could have possibly helped prevent some of the things that took place yesterday.
Yeah, I know the police officer who was stabbed and killed. The reports, at least as of right now, are that he was unarmed. But in general, gun violence per capita is not the problem in Great Britain that it is here. So that's not all that.
Yes. So what we have here, interesting with the Metropolitan Police Department in Birmingham, about 21% of the population in Birmingham, 1.1 million, are Muslim, and so the concentration is in that area. It's an economically it's a low economic status area, and there's been a lot of issues in socially in that part of England.
And this is something, I don't know if it's necessarily a trend because I haven't kept track with numbers, but we're seeing another instance where there's a dovetailing between what appears to be Islamic extremism terrorism and homegrown terrorism, where it's not one or the other. This was somebody who was born in Britain but was also inspired by ISIS.
Again, the mental radicalization, emotional attachment to being related to ISIS or Al-Qaeda, because both Al-Qaeda and ISIS actually have called for similar type attacks against the West. And so once again, The issue is people becoming radicalized,
Yeah.
and that becomes difficult. I guess the person that's been arrested has been under investigation in the past,
Right.
and then let go, and so we'll see how it goes, and we'll see what happens with the other 7 or 8 that have been arrested to see how they might be connected.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit more in the time we have about what compounds, the White House compound, the Parliament compound there can do specifically about these vehicle attacks. Like you said, it's nothing new.
I think what you do is you just security has to be beefed up even more. I mean, fortunately, the Prime Minister of England was okay. I think there were about 130 members of Parliament that were there yesterday.
The Queen was within a mile.
So I mean, that is a very secure location. And what I understood talking to one of my friends yesterday who used to live in England, a lot of tourists are usually in that area, but a lot of people, when they take the lube in, they're underground, so they're actually going into work from underground.
Yeah.
And so that was a tourist area of which that took place.
Yes.
So there is a certain amount of security around that. You have the MI5, MI6 is there, so that's a high security region. So that person took a big risk to go in an area. That's why I'm not surprised that this person was shot dead.
Yeah, and the Westminster Bridge that's right there going to Parliament, I think that's still a relatively main thoroughfare. You can't just close that off, and that's not going to happen. All right, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.